Hello and welcome to Brothers-in-law. I know we've been gone for a minute. It's been a minute since we posted our last video, but we're back again. I'm Mike Bradley and Corey Taylor. We're here to give you some good information about reasons why officers want you to step out of the vehicle. And also we're going to dive a little bit into family disputes about what to expect from the police when you call them because you got into a fight or you're having some sort of argument with kids or something like that. It's just kind of give you some idea of what to expect. Again, I'm Mike Bradley. I'm a retired law enforcement officer for 26 years in Northern California. And Corey Taylor, he's a prior Virginia state trooper. Okay. And we're here to give you some good information and let's kick it off.
Yeah. Hello again, and thanks for tuning in to us again. Like Mike said, we've been off for a while, and real quick, short reason being is I'm a business owner, so I took my business down to Texas for a few weeks to help the people down there that were affected by that winter storm that they had in Texas. So we're back. Ready to continue our discussion about law enforcement. And again, as normal, if you like this content of this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hey, and I want to give everybody a shout out and thank you all for very, very, very much for tuning in. While I was gone out of state when we were off the channel, we hit 500 views. So that was awesome for just having 3 videos out thus far. So thank you, and continue to get us out there and help us gain that recognition that we're trying to achieve to reach everybody to join in on this conversation. So without further ado, we're talking about reasons why an officer can ask you to step out of the vehicle. Like always, for me, it can be multiple reasons why an officer asks you to step out of the vehicle. Primary, DUI. Why we ask you to step out of the vehicle. And 9 times out of 10, people say, well, I haven't been drinking, or I just had a couple of beers, when they ask, how much you had to drink for that evening. If there are other people in the car with you, and you have been appointed as the designated driver, but I can still smell that odor of alcohol coming out of the vehicle, just to give myself a better situation awareness, if you will, of who's been drinking. A lot of times I will ask the driver to step out and come to the rear of the vehicle, and we'll get kind of close, but I want to be able to smell alcohol coming from him. And make sure he or she's hasn't been drinking. So that's one reason why we can ask you to stop out of a vehicle. Again, there are multiple reasons. A lot has changed, but we used to be able to ask you to step out of the vehicle if we detected the smell of marijuana. If there's any hostility going on in the vehicle, maybe another reason why we may ask you to step out of the vehicle. It's not a violation of anything if an officer asks you to step out of the vehicle. Mike, what is your take?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. One thing you got to remember is when you are being stopped specifically on a traffic stop, when you're being pulled over in your car, once you're pulled over, you are actually under the control and the direction of that officer that pulled you over. So as Corey said, there's plenty of reasons why an officer would want to pull you out of the car. For me, sometimes it could be a common stop where you may stop a car for being suspicious in the area. Here's what I mean by that. When I say suspicious, say we have a call of a business that has been burglarized multiple times, right? And usually the burglaries are happening sometime throughout the night. As an officer patrolling a particular area, I'll know when this business is typically being hit with burglaries, right? And I also know when the business is closed. So let's say a car is cruising around the parking lot of a closed business at 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's some suspicious circumstances that you could stop a vehicle for. So in something like that, I would stop the vehicle and say if I stop a vehicle, it's got 3 people in it. One thing I like to do is I want to first pull the driver out of the vehicle because I want to ask the driver what's going on and why they are in this parking lot at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning of a closed business. And I always like to say up front, this business is being burglarized multiple times throughout the night. And so I'm stopping people that may look suspicious when they're cruising through this lot. Suspicion is a valid reason to pull people over, but I don't, let me get back to the point at hand. So I pulled the driver out, and the reason being, I don't want that driver to explain what's going on and why they're there in front of the passengers that are in that car, because I don't want those passengers to be influenced. I want to see if they're going to tell me the same story. Okay. Right. So that's one of the reasons is verifying the facts that you tell me. So if the driver tells me, yeah, we just passing through, or we're going to a friend's house, and then I pull the passenger out and he or she tells me something completely different, well, that's a red flag that there could be something more going on at that particular stop.
Right.
And then Corey you mentioned something too about, if you have a odor of back in the day, it was an odor of marijuana.
Right.
Things have changed a little bit nowadays, like you said, but if you have odor of marijuana or an odor of alcohol, I would also pull them out. Obviously, you got to pull the driver out at a minimum to do field sobriety examinations.
Correct.
At some point, you may have to say the driver maybe has been drinking, but not enough to where he could drive off.
Right.
So at some point, you may have to pull the passenger out, number one, to identify the passenger to make sure he or she has a valid license. Okay. And I want to pull you out so I can make sure you haven't been drinking too, before I release this person. There's been plenty of times where I can tell if someone had been drinking, but they didn't quite meet the criteria where I'm thinking that they can't drive.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Their ability to drive wasn't impaired. Yeah.
Right. So, oftentimes I want to see if the passenger is good to drive. So I'll pull the passenger out so I can smell the passenger, and situational awareness, you called it. And I can see what's going on with that passenger in the car. That's another reason to be, just to explain it a little bit more in depth of why an officer would want to get you out of the car. Now, there could be, like you said, Corey, there could be plenty of other reasons. It just depends on the circumstances and what that officer, the knowledge that officer has, and what kind of investigation is going on. You can stop someone for an investigative stop.
Investigative stop.
They don't necessarily have to have done anything wrong, but because of what's been going on in that area, an investigative stop is something that police officers can do.
Yeah.
You got anything on that, Corey?
Yeah, and just to continue for a couple more minutes here, getting somebody out of the vehicle or asking somebody to step out of the vehicle, again, you want to keep the acronym of CALM in play. Comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. There's a reason why that officer is asking you to step out of the vehicle. They're going to explain to you the reason why. A lot of times they just want to get you out. Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, would you mind stepping out of the vehicle for me? At that point, it's not the time for you to get combative with them. Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to listen? That's just going to make the matters worse. The officer sees something or needs to continue on that investigation. A break-in might have happened, theft might happen, and they need to get you out of the car to make sure you are who you say you are. If it's for the alcohol or DUI for whatever reason, it's to make sure that you can continue on driving. All right, there's certain things that the officer is going to be looking for in a DUI, and they're going to need you to step out of the vehicle. All right, it's not a violation of your rights to ask you to step out of the vehicle. Now, you can still say no, but the officer still has the right to get you out of the vehicle for whatever reason.
And you could say, and we also want to make it clear, there are plenty of things that when you are stopped that you can say no to.
Correct.
But depending on the circumstances,
right.
If that officer needs you to get out of the car for safety reasons, investigative things, or something like that, you got to get out of the car. Because again, like I said, like we want to explain, is don't be offended by that. That's a tactic that police officers use. For instance, Corey, you're a state trooper. You do a lot of stops on the highway. And out here, I know in California, the highway patrol, when they have a lot of traffic rolling down the highway, they sometimes have the driver step out, or if they need somebody to step out and go on the shoulder of the road.
Correct.
And talk to them out, away from traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important, like you said, Corey, is don't get upset because I don't want to get out of the car. There's a reason why they're having you step out of the car, and it's not to harass you or anything like that. There is a valid tactical reason for doing so.
And like I said, they're going to explain to you why you're getting out of the vehicle. They should explain to you the reason why they're asking you to step out of the vehicle. They may not tell you right up front at that moment, but once they get you out and into a safe area off to the side and then start talking to you. For me, I would always just, hey, step out of the vehicle. I'll be more than happy to explain to you why I'm asking you to step out of the vehicle, but I just need you to step out of the vehicle right now. And they would do that. And then, okay, hey, listen, the reason why I stopped you out of the vehicle, I just want to make sure you're safe to drive this vehicle, or I'm getting a statement from them. Hey, what happened? Where you guys coming from? Investigative purposes to see what they're going to tell me and what the passenger is going to tell me. So, stay calm, comply, answer the questions, listen, and move on. If everything's all right, you're going to be let go. All right. So
that's right.
You just need to stay calm through this. Your Fourth Amendment rights aren't being violated by them asking you to step out of the vehicle. So, we just need to stay calm and not escalate the situation. Now, again, some of you that are watching this may be that person to get agitated because we don't know what you've been through. You might have had a rough day or whatever, and you get a little agitated, but just don't get agitated. Just let them do their investigation, and you'll be set on your way to carry on the rest of your afternoon or evening. So those are some of the reasons why, again, you stay calm, and everything that happens, always stay calm. You got anything else on that, Mike?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. And if you got any questions for us about, if you want any further explanation about a specific circumstance or something that you may have had or something, feel free to hit us up on the email and ask us some questions, or down at the bottom of the YouTube channel, you can put a comment and ask some questions down there. We'll get right back to you. So absolutely. Yeah. If you like this content, want to see more of it, leave us a comment below, and we'll try to incorporate it into our upcoming videos. All right. So now, moving on, we also want to get into talking about a little bit about family matters. Yes, family matters happen up on the interstate as well. And two, as being a state trooper here in Virginia, not only do we answer calls up on the interstates, but depending on where area you're assigned to, you may work in a county area where you work with the deputies and may go on calls within the county and get called to a domestic call. And so if it can happen in the house, and I'm here to tell you, it can happen on the interstate as well. We've got plenty of calls where people are fighting in the car. Oh yeah, on the highway. But you know,
And
family disputes are big. And again, you know, we said this a lot on different calls, but family disputes are also can be one of the most dangerous calls that
oh
an
yeah,
officer goes
oh
through.
yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah.
because you got two, you know, family members in a heated dispute. So you know, say you get in that argument with your brother or your sister, it's gotten out of control, and both of you are fighting, or maybe you're about to fight, and you don't want that to happen. So you call the police. Very common call. And matter of fact, Corey and I, we would encourage you to call the police, especially if you're in a situation that got out of hand, that you are no longer in control. So you call the police. Now, the question is, what can you expect from the police? So we're going to try to give you a quick rundown of what is in my mind as an officer responding to a domestic call like that, whether it's in a car or at a house, you know. So an officer already knows that when we get that call, we're going to be dealing with at minimum two people that are in a heated exchange, something had gotten out of control. That's why you're calling the police, because you have lost control of the situation and you need some help and try to handle it. Okay. So when I'm on my way to that call, I already expect that I'm getting ready to get into it or having to calm two people down. Okay. First thing officers want to do when they get on scene, well, actually, prior to getting on scene, and I'm sure Corey, you can attest to this too. I like to run out the people in the system to make sure they don't have any warrants, they're not wanted for anything. So if we have the names and date of birth before we get there, I try to do that so that I know who I'm dealing with, if there's something that I need to address or I need to be aware of as the responding officer. I'll usually try to get that information beforehand. That doesn't always happen, because we may not have enough information to do that. But I like to do that before I get there. So once we get there, we try to contact all parties involved. And the first thing we want to do is, if it's not already calm by the time we get there, is we have to calm people down. And the way we do that is we separate. Okay, you go over here and you go over here. You go in your corner and you go in yours, right, Corey?
That's right.
So, you know, it's just a way to separate them. And also, I want to hear both sides of the story. It's important for me to do that so that I can come to some conclusion of what this is all about.
Right.
And if there is any action that I need to take, what that action is. Okay. So that's why when you have officers coming into your house for a family dispute, and they may seem a little direct and forward and telling you to sit down or come over here or step over here, that's because the officer's job is to now take control of that situation to make it safe.
Right.
We want to make that safe. You got anything to add on that, Corey?
No, that's the number one priority. Again, in any situation, the officer wants to make sure that the scene is safe. On the interstate, it's gonna work just a little bit different. You know, you got a lot more elements to worry about on the interstate, particularly the traffic that's going by you at 60 plus miles an hour, and then you got two individuals that family members that are having a dispute on the interstate, and you, like in a home, you need to get them separated. And a lot of times on the interstate for us, I have shift partners, but they were working on different sides of town. And a lot of times I'm going to handle that situation by myself. We try not to, but initially when you get there, you're by yourself. Now, if that's the case, my other shift partners are tied up on something and they can't get to me, then I'll ask for a city unit to come up on the interstate and to assist me. Now they're just going to be in assist role. I'm still, the primary trooper handling the scene, and it's all about safety. If I can get the two parties separated, the better off we're all going to be. They're dangerous situations because, like you said, you don't know how they're going to turn out. Those are one of the most dangerous calls a police officer can go on, and usually when handcuffs have to go on somebody, it usually goes south from that point. And we hear about it all the time on the news. Somebody gets hurt or killed in that situation. So
Right.
if the police are called to your home for whatever reason, understand that you have to stay calm. Whatever you guys will be arguing about, once the police comes, you have to get a level head, and work through this, because we don't want nobody to have to go to jail, because at that point, when somebody has to get put in handcuffs, we know that's when it's probably going to go south really bad.
Right. It could. Right. That's right. And
So
especially out here in California, like for instance, the laws of domestic violence, which is basically any kind of physical violence between, say, a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or two people that share a child together. In a nutshell, that's kind of what the law says here in the state of California for domestic violence. And we are required, if we have established that there's domestic violence, we have to take someone to jail. And the way we determine that is we try to determine who the primary aggressor was. And the way we do that is we got to talk to both parties involved. You know what I'm saying? If we see visible injuries on the party, and we definitely have to take someone to jail. So there are other reasons, like when we come into a scene, some of the things that we're thinking about is weapons. Do either of you have a weapon on you? That could be a safety issue for the officer. We certainly don't want to walk into a situation where someone is very angry at the other person and they have a pistol in their waistband, that they might be angry enough to pull it out and shoot them and shoot us too. We don't know. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that an officer has to get control of the situation when they get there.
Like I said, that's when it goes bad, and those, even though they can happen on the interstate, I still didn't like going to a domestic, because even still, I mean, the car itself can be a weapon. I remember, I had just marked on duty for work, and got up on the highway, not even 5 minutes from my house, and ran into a situation where there was a domestic going on. The lady had pulled off way into the center median, outside the norm what a disabled vehicle would have pulled off into the median. And so that, was suspicious to me. So I was like, well, let me see what's going on. So I had pulled over to the side there. And then as I got out the car to walk over to the couple, she takes off running towards me, trooper, he just hit me. He hit me. I said, oh, Lord. I said, I'm not even getting onto my shift good, and got a domestic call already. So
Right.
my shift partner, who lived close to me, he was coming on at the same time. So he automatically rolled up on me. And, she had the identifying wounds of, missing hair, clothes messed up in duress. It's like she was just like in some type of a struggle. And then we talked to him. Obviously, we had him separated. I was dealing with her. My shift partner was dealing with the husband. And she driving down the road, and he punching her and grabbing her in the head. I mean, it could have went bad for both of them. He could have caused a crash, and thank goodness she was, smart enough to get off into the grass and stop the vehicle. But
and that's a great example, especially for reasons why we would want to pull you out of the car.
Correct.
You get a call like that, right? And so they give a description of the vehicle. I've had several calls like that where we have a report of a man and a woman fighting in a car traveling down the road, and they give a description and a license plate of the car. So naturally, we're going to pull that car over right away when we find it. And both parties are coming out of that car. And we may even handcuff the parties until we figure out what's going on.
What's going on? Yeah,
so that
you're being detained.
That's right. You're being detained until I figure out that, number one, are there any laws being broken? Is this a safe scene? Until I establish who you are and what kind of demeanor you have with me, I may handcuff you to make sure everything is safe so that you can't hurt me or you can't hurt anybody else, or just to keep the scene safe. And a lot of people get confused. Well, doesn't that mean you're under arrest if you put the handcuffs on someone? No. Handcuffs are simply a restraint tool that can be used if someone is being arrested, obviously, or if it's an unsafe situation where that officer doesn't know who you are and what you're doing. And until they establish that you are a safe person, they sometimes may keep those cuffs on you until everything is good to go.
Yeah.
And I explain that to people. I tell them that I'm putting these cuffs on you until I figure out what's going on. Until I figure out who you are.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
And you're letting them know that at this moment you're not on arrest; you're just being detained for investigative purposes. Is what I used to tell people. So don't still remain calm, but domestics can go south, and you need to understand what happens when a law enforcement comes there. They're trying their main purpose to de-escalate the situation, find out what's wrong, what happened, who did what, and if somebody needs to be arrested in it, somebody's going to be arrested. That's what happens in a domestic. So then let them do their investigation. If you have a question about that or want to comment on it, please hit us up in the comments below, and we'll respond to you as quickly as possible. Again, like, share, and subscribe if you like the context of this video we're doing today. It's kind of short today outside of our normal videos, but again, we're back. Glad to be back, and hopefully we'll get more likes, shares, and good reviews, thumbs up, and subscribe. Tell your friends and family about us. I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Barry. Man, I met down in Texas and Tyler. Well, he lives just outside of Tyler, Texas. He's a retired chief of police, small city, I think just north of Sacramento. But thank you, Mr. Barry. I know you subscribe to us, and I know you're checking us out. So thank you for that. And thank everybody again who been watching our videos. We appreciate you. Let's turn that 500 into 1 million. And I know we can do it. So, Mike, any final note, last bit of comment?
I think we covered it again. If you got anything you want us to talk about, hit us up. You want us to explain something more? If you send us a message or some quick thing that you want us to explain or answer, we'll also try to mention it on the next show so that everybody could hear it too. One of the things we love to do is answer questions about why police do the things they do, and what you can expect from that. That's what this is all about. So you guys take care out there, and we're glad to be back on doing this again, and hopefully we can get some good info out there. Okay.
Yeah. And remember to stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. All right, because your safety is paramount. All right.
That's right.
We'll see y'all next Thursday. Peace.
Peace.